My name is Roby Curtis. I'm soon to be 35. I'm fortunate to be what they call the director here at Blind Eye Ministries in South Brisbane. Blind Eye is a daytime drop-in centre in South Brisbane, 19 Maryvale Street. We've been here for 5 years and a couple of months. We've spent 4 days in the week opening the place up in the daytimes. Lots of nighttime service providers and groups coming up, but for us we really stepped into that daytime gap, providing showers, tea, coffee, washing facilities, phones, internets, things like that. You'd be able to sort of get the practical help that you might need in a day. This whole project has been grassroots, going out into hostels, boarding houses, just meeting people where they're at, understanding the landscape. It's really full on. People's lives are really complex and broken, and we need to understand exactly the landscape of what it was we were engaging with, beyond call and conviction and heart, but actually stepping into the practicals, going, well, what can we do? And this place soon became apparent that we wanted a place where we could set a tone, set a culture, and really start to shape things so we could actually reach people in a way that we thought was in line with our calling and our conviction. Yeah. What makes a homeless person vulnerable is that there's illness. So anyone who's sick is already, there's a sense of vulnerability in the day-to-day, just capacity to achieve the basics. If there's some sort of mental illness or a physical illness, it's quite literally impossible to get some things done and to keep up. So they're vulnerable in that regards. When it comes to addiction, there's vulnerability because people become slave to what they're doing, and they're not thinking clearly about their choices and their circumstances because they're just in this pattern of addiction and being a slave to that particular substance or that pattern of behaviour. A lot of people will be hardline saying, oh look, it's their own fault, they've made their choices. Well, they have, but once you get inside the stories and the generations of repetition around these kinds of behaviour, they'll realise that their role models is down. And then all the formative years of seeing that and going, well, it's just a default that happens for a person going, well, that's what I've seen my whole life, those sorts of things. So that's where the vulnerability sets in, because people don't understand that they're actually out of control, and we see that as vulnerable. It's complex. A less compassionate world and less compassionate lens doesn't see that as vulnerable. It sees it as stupid and in need of punishment. We have standards here, so in the context of dealing with vulnerable people, we've got to also remove behaviours that aren't consistent with our culture. So it becomes complex around receiving vulnerable people because their choices are so outrageous at times that they'll do things in here and say things in here that just aren't appropriate, and we'll have to move them on because of that. One of our pillars too would be protection of the vulnerable, and providing that place where there's a standard. You come in here knowing the standards, people just know it. You don't mess with those standards because they're good for us. Firstly, we want it because we feel safe, and secondly, it keeps the place sanctuary and harmony. I think principles is everything. I think we probably do see a real gap in people's personal formation and their human development when they've grown up. The people that you would say have been taught principles, they stand out in here. You can just tell, and you soon get to the story and you realise there was this person or this pillar in their life that was teaching them to be a person of principle. But then we get a lot of people who just have never been taught, and we're the first place that's ever given them a platform to learn and to believe in them, that they're worthy of being taught. This place definitely teaches those communication principles, and we see people quite literally change their ways and their methods around dealing with struggle, violence, rage, those things that otherwise ostracise people from places like this. I was blessed and very fortunate to have really good parents. They were a couple that created a family life that really desired to be selfless. I won't shy away from the fact that the foundation of our home was the gospel. And that was lived in a way that wasn't so much about the Sunday bells, smells and that sort of sides of things, but the emphasis was placed on people. I can recall as a child, and especially in primary school, having people for dinner in our home that I didn't realise at the time because it was my life. I didn't realise that there were quite unique people coming into our home that were really struggling, and that was just naturally what my parents did. That was my experience. I grew up knowing that you got to think about others. Like, faith only makes sense if it's about those around us and welcoming them into our home. And it was quite radical looking back. I believe every person was born to live, to thrive, to live within purpose and meaning. So our big thing is actually engaging people in their own purpose and meaning. I believe that can only be done if they feel connectivity to a group of people. No matter how bad my life would get, I've got 30 people that are going to be chasing me, coming after me, just give me anything I need to get back on track. Most of our guys have never known that. So we believe that part of that deep calling, conviction and passion, and part of the work we're caught up in is providing them that longer term framework, community framework to say, come back and celebrate with us the things you've achieved. Come back and cry with us. Come back and be here when it's all gone south again. Come and talk to us. That's true community. Don't come in here and carry on with violence or intimidation or act inappropriately, because we're going to exit you. But please know that you're loved. And you dictate whether you're able to come back in here and celebrate those things and cry through those things. So community is everything, man. I see it every day. It's the whole point of this building is community. It's the whole point of the last decade of my life has been just to understand how to do effective community. Yeah, at the end of the day.